Reddit, what's some of your cringiest high school stories? Completely dead silent class. I ripped a loud fart. I tried to play it off by saying that my mouth made the noise. Tried to emulate the actual fart with pretend farts for about 30 seconds. After each pretend fart, I'd say, no, that wasn't it, let me try again, all while sweating nervously and shaking. AI freshman year of high school duckin' kill me. The trick is blame it on someone else. It worked for me in 5th grade. Sorry Chris. Don't tell nobody, but the real trick is to turn around and look at the person behind you. They are already looking forward, so they can't really look back at you. All they can do is also look backwards or to the side, and with each deflected glance you're one step closer to innocence. Similar story, but in 5th grade. Our entire class got in trouble, and we had to do a worksheet in complete silence for about 1.5 hours. One student made a noise and was sent out of class, so teach wasn't messing around. My friend and I ate multiple burritos at lunch about 30 minutes prior and it was settling in. In complete silence with a pissed teacher staring at everyone, my friend ripped the longest fart I've ever heard. It lasted about 4-5 seconds, and it was loud as all hell. No one said a word. A few minutes later, it hit me and I ripped a few short farts, but even louder in sound. Again, no one said a word. Complete silence after both farts. After class I laughed until I cried. Funniest day ever. No one was even impressed. Back when sour candies were all the rage, me and my friends would see who could hold the most in their mouth for the longest time. As someone who likes a challenge, I ended up shoveling a handful of those super sour toxic waste candies into my mouth. Unfortunately, what I failed to realize is that sour stuff causes a lot of saliva production. So when my crush entered the cafeteria and made eye contact with me, I smiled, and multicolored drool literally flooded out of my mouth and slathered itself all over my t-shirt. She said, "You," and walked away. I died a little inside that day. I did this as a freshman. I knew this kid in my class because I went to school with him for years beforehand and his sister dated my sister. We were taking a test and the class of about 35 kids were really focused on it. I had to rip one so bad, and for some reason I had a great idea. I got his attention by throwing pencils and pens at him. Annoyed, he looks at me like what? I locked eyes, did that pushing really hard face, maintaining eye contact, and just let loose as loud as I could. Everyone heard, but I immediately went back to the test so they all thought it was him because he couldn't stop laughing. He doesn't talk to me anymore. I wore a trench coat and a fedora all the time. Sometimes I wore headphones around my neck because I thought they made me look cool. I learned on the very last day of high school that they did not make me look cool when one of my friends said he only ate lunch with me because he thought I was going to become a school shooter. And he didn't want to die. Freshman year, had a crush on this really pretty blonde girl in my algebra class. After weeks of thinking how to talk to her and asking my parents, they convinced me to just ask for her phone number. So one day after algebra is over, I was waiting for everyone to leave. She was standing there with 2 to 3 friends, and I decided today had to be the day. I walked up, asked for her phone number. "I don't even know your name," I said okay and walked away. I will never forget this. Can I go back in time and kick myself in the balls? Maybe I'm lucky that's the worst that happened. Saying okay and walking away there wasn't a terrible move. You probably looked pretty confident asking in front of other people, and saying okay would come off like you didn't even care that she turned you down. True, that move absolutely radiates off big penis energy. A few weeks ago, I was walking out of a convenience store in the city, and as I was coming out half a dozen kids in fedoras, jeans, and some with glasses came streaming around the corner and almost knocked me over while going into the store. I immediately thought to myself that these Reddit atheist neckbeard teenagers need to duck off and watch where they are going. Until about 20 more of them come streaming around the corner to go into the store and I just managed to evade them before they stampede all over me and flatten me. That's when I look at the second wave of kids' clothing and dress closer, see that the second group is dressed in black and white dress shirts, pants, and vests. and realize that they're actually a bunch of Orthodox Jewish kids, and not a bunch of atheist neckbeard teenagers with Reddit accounts. I then chuckled and got on with the rest of my day. Easy to confuse the two groups. Although, usually I can tell the neckbeards apart by the smell. When you're close enough to smell them, you're close enough for their blade. While you were showering and applying deodorant in order to attract vapid females, I studied the blade. I was bullied a lot in junior high by jocks. One of them sat behind me in class and kept trying to slide things down the back of my pants. Finally, I snapped during study time, turned around and shouted, "No. I won't go out with you. I keep telling you I'm not gay. Why don't you date a girl or something? Jesus Christ." I got in trouble for swearing. The words gay and Jesus Christ were swear words in 1982 Virginia, and the jock beat the shirt out of me after school. Later in college, he came out as gay though. Can you teach me the homo-inducing dragon shout? Now you gay. My teacher didn't like me, but I really can't recall why. One day she calls me to the front, asks me to go help in the office. Odd request, but okay, I head over. When I arrive they are clearly surprised to see me, so they send me back because there is nothing for me to do. I return to class to find the room empty. The teacher next door sees me, tells me they all took a walk to get ice cream and offers me to sit in their class until they return. When they come back, everyone has a cone or a bowl and the teacher won't even look at me. She never acknowledged leaving me behind and purposely ignored me the rest of the day. My fellow students assumed I had done something wrong and were not very nice. It was one of the worst days of school I ever had and I was just a little kid. Duck you, Mrs. Pauly. That's not cringy, that's ducked up. That's a ducking crime. Went to a party 5 hours early, oblivious. A girl is inviting everyone to a party Friday night. I live out of town a bit and not entirely sure if I can get back in for the party, so I just hang around after school. A buddy tells me he's going early because he plays sports with the girl's brother, so I should just come early to hang out. For some reason I think early is like in an hour from that point. So I head over about 5 PM to meet up. I knock. I hear "come in." So I head in. I see the girl and her brother inside and I say, "Buddy said he's coming early and said I should come over." They are like, "Okay dude, come in and sit down if you really want to." I do. They are setting the table for dinner, with their parents. Going to have a nice family dinner and then clean up for the party. They ask me to join them. I say yes, because at this point I'm totally over my head. I eat with them, help with dishes, watch a little TV. Soon they are all good to go. The parents head out and the night goes forward like nothing weird happened. Next Monday, I'm butt of many jokes, but people forgot about soon enough. Should have joined the parents on their date. They looked at me like I was the special needs kid from the class, likely would have taken me. Surprisingly I didn't have many, but one from freshman year sticks out. I was really good friends with this kid Andy. We had sort of a friend group, but he and I were particularly close. Everyone used to ask all the time if we were a couple. I really liked Andy, but he wanted to just be friends. Cool, no problem. So it comes time for the homecoming dance, and I had talked to most people in my friend group about asking Andy. Everyone agreed it'd be fine because we're super close and he would obviously say yes. So after school one day, I go meet this friend group where we normally met. At this point, I had truly, madly, deeply convinced myself that Andy would definitely say yes. So I ask him in front of all of our friends if he wants to go with me. Andy just kinda shrugs and goes, "Nah," so I'm like, "Oh, aren't you going?" He confirms he is going. So I ask him if he is already going with someone. Nope. So finally I go, "Do you just not want to go with me?" And he's like, "Yeah, pretty much." That one still crushes the soul a bit. Worked up the courage to ask a boy out. He reluctantly said sure. I then asked if he'd want my number so he could call me sometime. He again reluctantly said sure. I then proceeded to painfully carve my number into the back of his hand, to the point of almost drawing blood because I was too embarrassed to ask for his pen because mine wasn't working. He never called. Edit. To be clear, it was the pen I was using to inadvertently carve my number into his hand. Similar to how when you keep scribbling a pen on a piece of paper, trying to get it to work. Except in my nervousness I didn't think about how it was his hand and not paper, until it was too late and I knew I had dug my grave. Gotta be honest, if a chick carved her number into the back of my hand instead of asking for a pen, I'd be scared of being the first victim in a string of serial murders. I live in a hot tropical country. But I was fat, so I tried covering it up by wearing a XXL DC hoodie everywhere I went, even under the hot sun. People would ask me why I wore a jacket. I'd say I felt cold even though I was sweating visibly. Everybody knew why. I know that now. Obligatory as this was middle school, but I'm still kept up at night by this. I sent 2 girls, "Will you go out with me?" messages. Over the phone. At the same time. And they were next to each other. I did something similar in high school, but asking 2 exes to hook up, I was tipsy and dumb. They were next to each other at a party. That worked out much better than it should have. My man. When I was 14, I had a crush on this girl. Her younger sister told me she had a crush on me back, which was false. So me being the incredible naive kid I was, decided to ask her out. Only I did it from my mom's phone, by asking my youth pastor to ask her for me. To no one's shock, and my complete embarrassment, she said no. What followed was easily the most awkward few weeks of my life at school. I wore cat ears and a kimono to school. Like, more than once. This ensemble was completed with neon fishnets, Doc Martens, and my blue Justin Bieber hair. I also wore a collar. Like, a legit collar. Not a choker. I was eating an awesome sandwich. It was so filling though. So I tossed it at the trash when I was done, but some random girl who probably has a very heated memory of this walked by and got sub-smacked. I awkwardly laughed because it was unexpected. She probably thinks I did it on purpose. I was constantly bullied in middle school. This one girl in particular has me marked as her go-to target. When I came home with a bruise on my arm, my mom asked what happened and I told her about the girl that beat me up. She replies with, "Oh. I know that girl's mama, and her mama had her when she was 15. You need to go to school and put her in her place. You can tell her that and she will back off." So, the next day, I went to school and when that girl started her shirt with me, I responded with, "Well, at least my mom didn't have me when she was only 15. I then got beat to a pulp and shoved into a locker. I was so pissed at my mom after that. Had a group of kids on the school bus that gave me a hard time. One was very, very overweight. He was bragging about how big his arms were compared to mine. I said, "Yeah, because it's all fat." 300 pounds of offended came flying across the bus to hit me. Gave you the wrecking ball. My junior year of high school, I was taking a class called Sci-Fi and Fantasy. Predictably we read books of said genre. We did readers theater. Each person in the class gets assigned a character on a voluntary basis. Anytime the character says something, the assigned person would say it aloud. The teacher was the narrator, and roleplay was involved if you choose to on a couple books, one being The Hobbit, by J.R.R. Tolkien. So in this chapter of the book, my character, Thorin, had maybe 1 or 2 lines so I was bored. This was the chapter where the eagles swooped down and saved the day from the orcs. As the group was saying goodbye, I forget how the book actually goes in this part to the specifics, please forgive me. To the eagles, my teacher stops and asks the group, "Anyone wanna like to do the eagle part?" Gazes around the entire class and does a double take at me. I'm a fairly outgoing person, especially in that class with role playing. So I'm like, duck it. Why not, right? And out of the silence, with zero warning to anyone, I just screamed craw and did the best eagle screech I could do. It was pretty spectacular. Especially for being very much on a whim. Everyone stops and looks at each other. Now it's dead silent. Nobody knows what to do, or how to react. So my teacher pipes up after 5 seconds of pure silence, "Okay, does anyone wanna do the actual eagle part?" Apparently they had actual lines where they say things.